Have you ever wondered how old speakers work? Those big boxy ones that used to sit in our grandparents' living rooms? These aren't just relics of the past, they were once the heart of home entertainment, pumping out music that filled every corner of the room. These speakers, with their analog audio systems, were relatively simple, yet capable of producing rich, full-bodied sound that many of us still crave today. Our discussion today centers around these old speakers, specifically how they functioned. They typically operated on electromagnetic principles, using a combination of components like the cone driver, voice coil, and magnet, among others. These components work together to convert electrical signals into sound waves, creating the music and voices that emanated from these speakers. These old speakers may seem outdated in our digital age, but the technology behind them laid the foundation for modern high-fidelity audio reproduction. So let's dive into the fascinating world of old speakers and uncover the secrets of their functioning. At the heart of these old speakers is a component called the cone driver. This part, typically crafted from lightweight yet rigid materials like paper or plastic, serves a crucial role in the sound reproduction process. You see, when sound waves hit the cone, they cause it to vibrate, and these vibrations are what produce the sounds we hear. Now, let's shift our focus to another vital part of the speaker, the voice coil. This interesting piece is essentially a coil of wire that's attached to the cone. It sits snugly within the magnetic field of a permanent magnet. When an electric current flows through this coil, it generates its own magnetic field. This newly created magnetic field interacts with the permanent magnet's field, causing the voice coil and the attached cone to move back and forth. So, the cone driver and voice coil are essential in creating the sound you hear from these old speakers. Moving on, we have the magnet and the diaphragm, two more key components of old speakers. The magnet, often a permanent one, sits strategically behind or around the voice coil. When an electric current flows through the voice coil, a magnetic field is generated. This field interacts with the magnetic field of the permanent magnet, causing the voice coil and the attached cone to vibrate. This is where the diaphragm, or cone, comes into play. Made of lightweight material, it moves in sync with the voice coil's vibrations. As the magnetic fields fluctuate, so does the diaphragm, moving back and forth in a rapid dance. This movement stirs up pressure waves in the surrounding air. And these waves, my friends, are what we perceive as sound. So the magnet and diaphragm are not just parts of an old speaker. They are the veritable heart and soul of the sound production process. The interaction between the magnet and diaphragm is what ultimately creates the sound waves that we hear. Now let's talk about some other important parts of an old speaker system. First off, in more complex speaker systems, there's a crossover network. This isn't just a fancy term for an intersection of wires. The crossover network is a critical component that filters the audio signal into different frequency ranges. Think of it as an air traffic controller, directing each range to the appropriate driver. This ensures optimal performance, with the tweeters handling the high frequencies, mid-range drivers dealing with the middle frequencies, and woofers taking care of the low frequencies. Next up, we have the enclosure. It's not just a pretty box to house the speakers. It plays a crucial role in protecting the delicate components from damage and dust. But that's not all. The enclosure also enhances the sound quality. How, you ask? By controlling the dispersion of sound waves and minimizing interference from the rear of the speaker driver. In essence, it's like a well-designed concert hall, ensuring that every note reaches your ears in the best possible way. And lastly, we have amplification. This is where the speakers tie into the rest of your audio system. Speakers, you see, are connected to an amplifier. This device provides the electrical power necessary to drive the voice coil and ultimately produce sound. The amplifier receives audio signals from a source, whether it's a stereo receiver, CD player, or a digital audio device, and amplifies or boosts these signals before they're sent to the speakers. So there you have it, the crossover network, the enclosure, and the amplification. These components work in harmony to produce the rich, full sound that old speakers are known for. Each component, from the humble crossover network to the mighty amplifier, plays its part in this symphony of sound, contributing to the unique auditory experience that only old speakers can provide.